just different.
All right, what's going on, fellas? My name is Wes, and I want to welcome you to the Stoic Lounge, a place where men can be men, talk about our issues, talk about what we like, don't like, love to hate, but most importantly, it's about being stoic. And today we have another special guest who's going to talk about some things that he went through growing up, talk about the marriage life, talk about the military life, and all the stuff that we go through as men, you know, and some of the things that we deal with and everything. And I think he has a real telling story to tell. Real interesting, and I think a lot of people are actually going to be able to gravitate to it, learn something from it, and hopefully, you know, walk away as a better man after hearing some of it. So today, I want to welcome Trey. Man, I appreciate you coming out, man, giving me some more time of your 24. And so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Just give us a bit of some of your background, man. Tell us where you grew up at and things like that, and how you just made the transition into adulthood.
Hey man, I first thanks for having me. You know, this is I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time.
All right, thank you. You're welcome.
No man, Trey Thompson. I'm a simple man, Wes.
Yes.
You know, I am just a man who is on this journey, right? Trying to figure out life and trying to live life. You know, not just, you know, a lot of times men we get on this thing where we're just trying to get through life. Mm-hmm. Now we're trying to live life so we can, be productive, be fulfilled, right? And then at the end of it, when we're done, we can look back and be like, you know what, that was a good ride.
Yeah.
You know, some things I'm proud of is, you know, as you mentioned, the military life. I'm a former active duty Marine, fought in Afghanistan, had some crazy times over there. Really proud of that. You know, proud of my service, and glad I got a chance to do that. The thing I'm probably most proud about is just being a dad.
Okay.
You know, I have 3 boys.
Okay.
All spread out. You know, I have a 20-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
Yeah, you got some serious big brothers, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, you know, those are the things I'm most proud of, and you know, we're all just trying to figure this thing out, right?
Yes, definitely are.
Yeah.
You know, man. So, where did you grow up at, man? Because I know a lot of people, you said you were in the military, so probably not a native to California. So did you grow up, different state, and all of a sudden, bam, came to California, totally different? Or was it through, like, the military you came here?
Yeah, well, you know, my parents, by the way, are still married. You know, like 40, I think it's this year, it'll be 46 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
crazy.
40. Yeah,
crazy when you think about how things are now.
Yes.
Where 46 months, you know, is worthy of applause nowadays.
Yeah, a divorce, yeah.
But, my dad was in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. So growing up, you know, we moved from state to state every 3 years, and then, you know, country to country. Lived overseas in Belgium. Nice. That was our overseas tour.
Okay.
And I think I was about 9, 10 years old when we lived over there.
Okay.
Got a chance to see a lot of the world when we were there, because Pop really made it a point to... We're within range of a lot of different countries, a lot of different places. So the UK, Germany, Italy, you know, we got to go to a lot of those places. So that kind of opened up my world view. So coming to this melting pot that is California, it's easy to get along with a lot of different types of people because of how I grew up.
What you were going through. So when you actually made that transition to California, what age were you?
California, when I first moved here, I was 2006, so I was about 25.
25 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's a hard place to leave, especially San Diego. Like, once you get used to things, it's a hard place to leave, this weather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the weather, you know, different countries, whether it be north or south of the border, the beaches, you know, it's almost like paradise out here.
Right. If it wasn't so expensive to live out here,
then
it'd be perfect.
And that's just within the last few years.
Yeah.
I mean,
it really started
it hasn't always been like this out here. It's just all of a sudden, out the blue, California, most expensive place to live.
Yep.
San Diego, one of the most expensive cities to live in. You know, and kind of sucks sometimes, especially when you don't want to move anywhere else. Because I kind of like don't want to move anywhere else, right? So you gotta
Just got to suck it up, Like, what are you going to do,
Yeah, well, you better figure out how to go earn more money then,
right?
huh?
Growing up, my dad, we settled in Arizona.
Okay.
After he retired.
Yeah.
Moved us out to Arizona, a little town called Mesa, which is...
I'm familiar with Mesa.
Yeah, a little bit, little suburb east of Phoenix.
Okay.
Right? So growing up in middle school and high school, I knew a lot of people from California. Yes. And it's like I used to wonder, like, why does everybody I know is from California? No one is actually from Arizona. Mm-hmm. And now as a grown-up, now I get it. Yeah. Because their parents was like, hey, look, it's too expensive out here. We're going to AZ and try and make it happen.
Hopping on to the next state, huh?
Yep.
Okay. All right, man. So tell us a little bit more about your military life, man. So you moved out here, California, 25. Were you in the military at that time, or?
No. I first joined the military in 2003.
Okay.
All right. So I was 23. Yeah, I was about 23 years old.
All right.
When I joined, and I joined the military because at the time I had my oldest son, and I had his mom, and we hadn't got married yet, so I'm just trying to figure out a way to take care of my family.
Yeah.
And try to find a career that can be a career versus something that's just a job. When I joined, I was working like at Chase Bank, like a customer service guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is not something that I can do forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what can I do that's going to be able to kind of provide some kind of legacy or something for my family where I can carry this thing forward?
Yes.
And I went to all the different recruiting spots, right? I went to the Air Force, the Army, Navy, Marines.
Okay.
They all have wildly different recruiting tactics. Right?
Okay.
So the Air Force, first off, they were never there, right? They were, I think, just off somewhere. And again, the Air Force has that stigma and that reputation amongst the other services for being the laziest, most comfortable. So they were never there. Mm-hmm. Never got a chance to talk to them. Went to the Army, and that didn't really. The first thing they were talking about was signing bonuses. We're trying to get you in the door.
Yeah.
Mind you, this is all when I joined right after 9/11.
Okay.
Shortly after 9/11. So this is where everyone's trying to plus their numbers up.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the Marines, and their recruiting strategy is one that really speaks to men like us, right?
Okay.
That seek a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Because their strategy is, we don't think you're even good enough, tough enough to be one of us.
Wow.
Prove us wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mentality.
Yeah.
So when I go there and I talk to the sergeant, I still remember his name, Sergeant Beltran, and I said, hey, I was just over there at the Army, and they were talking about all these sign-in bonuses and all this money. What are you guys talking about? He looked at me and said, so what you're telling me is you can be bought.
Wow.
And then he used a word that we probably can't use here.
Okay.
And I was like, why you got to say it like that, man?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it really did. It tapped into what I'm about,
mm-hmm.
which is growth, improvement, challenge. And I found myself going back. So I joined I was 22, turning 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was your first experience dabbling into the military.
That was my first experience. Just the challenge and the kind of being a little bit insulted, but also they do it right.
Yeah. It's almost now you got to live up to this expectation now.
Right.
Yeah. And to have him say that to you, you can be bought. You probably never really thought, or nobody's ever really said that to you.
Right.
So in your mind, you're probably thinking, bought, okay. Me, I would have been on some man, is this some slavery plantation stuff? What are you talking about, bought?
Yeah.
But as you get older, like you're saying, as a grown man, you start looking at things differently, and you start saying, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be some slavery type stuff, right? It can just be, man, you can sell your soul to something,
mm-hmm.
Something that you're really not into, or you really don't have an aspire to be, but because you have that financial aspect there, somebody can sway you with that.
Right.
So you were like, nah, you're not swaying me by any money or anything like that. I'm going to go join the Marines. It was the Marines, right?
Yeah, subconsciously, it was my first, I guess, lesson in money isn't everything.
Okay.
You know? And the irony there is that at the time, again, I'm like 22. I've got a new family, got a new baby. We're living in an apartment. It's a little 1-bedroom. I actually did need the money.
Okay.
Yeah. So when the Army guy was saying 15K, 20K, I was like, that would sure come in handy. And yet, and still, I don't know what turned me away from that, except that it's just that inner. He spoke to something internal.
Okay.
That I think any Marine who is successful has in them, because everybody can't be. The Marines ain't for everybody. And then we're going off on a different track here, but I would not advise my own kids nowadays to join the Marines.
Okay.
There's no war, real big conflict.
Yes.
To really get behind, because that's another reason you join, is because you want to go and fight. You like to brawl, and you want to do something.
Yeah.
Well, without there being this rallying cry or this war banner to go under, you can get the same thing accomplished, by going to the Air Force, ironically, which is where my dad was from. My dad was an Air Force guy. But that's where all the tech jobs are. That's where all the technology jobs, all of the drone stuff,
engineering jobs and
right.
stuff like that.
I would advise my kids now to join the Air Force. You get the same benefits, you get the same discounts, you get the same everything, except the Air Force is better funded than the Marines. So the quality of life while you're going through all of that is also going to be a lot better.
Okay. So now you're at this point, you're in the military, have a new baby, girlfriend, possibly fiance at the time. So now you're being shipped off boot camp and everything like that.
Yeah.
All right. So once you get through boot camp and everything, now you're stationed. What is that transition like now, being a military father now, taking care of your family? Because we all know that when you're in the military, you start bouncing around now to different states, as they move you around. So how did that take place?
Well, the first introduction to being separated from your family is boot camp, right? So boot camp in the Marines, boot camp in the Marines is, 13 weeks.
Okay.
Whereas boot camp in other services is maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks. So just being away, because Jalen had just been born a month before I took off.
Okay.
For boot camp. So, and back then you're writing letters, like actually pen, paper, envelopes, stamps, and you're mailing things off, and you're waiting to get those letters back and all of that. So it felt a lot more like old school. As we're talking right now, the kids aren't going to be able to relate. Like, wait, you have to wait to get communication?
Yeah,
a few
wait
weeks
for that letter.
Right. We would have a letter time once a week.
Okay. Where
the drill instructors would come through with the bag, and we'd sit there patiently waiting for our name to get called for our letters or packages. But that was a time where, you're really trying to figure out how it feels to be separated from your family for an extended period.
Okay.
And then once you make through boot camp and all the follow-on schools, and now you're in they call it the fleet. This is where you're past all of your training, and now you get assigned to a unit.
Okay.
And then once you get to a unit, man, it's like you're in this cycle of you're either ramping up to go be deployed. Again, this is the global war on terrorism is in full swing right here.
Yes.
So you're either in a cycle of you're ramping up and training up to go, you're actually gone, or you just got back and you get some downtime, and then you start that cycle again.
Okay.
Right. So even the times when you're still here, you're almost not, in a way, because you're getting ready to go again.
Okay.
So those things, I would say it's the military life, especially the Marine Corps, which I'm damn proud. I'm a damn proud Marine.
Mm-hmm.
I believe two things can be true at the same time, right?
Okay.
A lot of people don't believe that or don't realize it. I'm damn proud to be a Marine and have been an active duty Marine, and also that was not a good thing for families. It's not. It doesn't, especially young families.
Yes.
It doesn't. It doesn't endear itself to a family life, right? So it was tough at times.
Yeah. So when you say it doesn't endure itself, is that because you guys are out so often, being deployed to different areas and the family is left behind, or is it just a lot of stress, different type of stress being in the military, especially the Marines?
Yeah.
And at that time where it was, the height of war was possible.
Mm-hmm.
And everything. So is that one of the reasons why?
I mean, it's all of those things. Okay. Because especially as a new junior level type of Marine, you're not making a lot of money in the first place.
Okay.
So the ability to provide for your family, which is one of the things that as men we pride ourselves on, the ability to provide is not as easy as you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
Time spent away. Stress actually on the job, so by the time you get home, you're just like, and if you're off in a new city or town, like you moved and got stationed over here,
okay.
You don't know anybody.
Yes.
So a lot of times your wife, maybe she's not found work quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
She's waiting to do that, or she's just staying home with the baby. So she gets home, talking to an adult for the first time, and it's just talk, right?
Yes.
And you just want to sit down and just be like, and you're not. So the inner dynamics created from the separation,
Mm-hmm.
the stress while on the job, while not making a whole lot of money, it can drain a family.
Yes, I'm sure it can. Did you find a lot of guys actually going through that with their wives at home?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the stresses because of the military life?
Oh, yeah. We're all going through the same thing. So, I was saying just now some of the things that make military life a challenge. But here's some of the things that make it great.
Okay.
We're all going through the same thing, whether it's financial hardships, separated from families, training schedules, all of that. Mm-hmm. We're all going through it. So it kind of creates a brotherhood.
Yes.
Which is really what they instill in the Marines, especially from boot camp.
Okay.
You are, let's say something as simple task as making your bed, making your rack in boot camp, your bunk, I guess some people might call it. You can make yours, make it nice and tight, make it perfect, and then you're standing online while everyone else is getting done with theirs.
Mm-hmm.
If a drill instructor sees that you're done, you might feel like, hey, I got done first.
Yeah.
Drill instructor is going to look at you and say, oh, okay, so you just want to be an individual. You're not going to turn and help your brothers now that you're done. It's all about you.
Mm-hmm.
And that also starts to, that seeps into you. It becomes part of who you are is this brotherhood.
Yes.
Right? And mm-hmm. helping those around you. So when you're living in base housing, you're living next to other military families. So we had so many family get-togethers, at the houses, mm-hmm. in the neighborhood. We just go, okay, we're at this person's house. We're playing Rock Band. It's like a little Rock Band party back. You remember that game?
Yeah, the video, Guitar or something.
Yeah, with the video, Guitar Hero was another one.
Okay, yeah.
That's so we would have a lot of those little get-togethers, and it built a bond within the community, which I have not been able to find anywhere since. Okay. So those are some of the things that make it great. The people that you're with mm-hmm. can really make the experience, a fulfilling one.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I'm sure it does. And you especially in San Diego, real big military city. So we see a lot of that. A lot of neighborhoods around here, military housing and things like that. And with your experience being in the military, now we're talking about the height of the situation, 9/11.
Right.
And as young men, and I was one of these young men at one time, it was about being combative. It was about fighting. It was about, ooh, I want to go to war. I want to go to war to kill somebody. That's the mentality I had, and I'm pretty sure, hypothetically speaking here, you might have had that, feeling at one time. And I'm pretty sure a lot of young men in the military, they have those feelings about wanting to go kill, because we grow up seeing this stuff on TV, right? And we see it in the movies, and it's almost like it's glorified in a sense. So being that we're a country of war, when you pretty much, when it comes down to it, right, the war machine, now all of a sudden we have the biggest military, and now we find ourselves in a conflict with different countries and stuff like that. Now you're in a situation where you're going to have to go to war, and you're going to have to go to war to fight because of the heightened situation that's going on right now. So what's now going through your head as a father with the possibility of having to go to another country to fight in a war where you can possibly lose your life?
It's a tough thing to think about, that you really don't want to sit with that thought for too long.
Okay.
Because it can be paralyzing. Thinking, okay, I have a son, I have a wife. Those things are always present in your mind, but what you try to do is compartmentalize. Think about them only in spurts.
Okay.
So that you can get on with what you need to do. And it's interesting that you say, we want to go and kill, because that is, you do see a lot of TV shows that'll show that kind of mentality. I don't know that that's quite as accurate as all that.
Okay.
For us, or at least for me, and some of the guys that I was close with, we wanted to go and protect.
Okay.
That was our mentality. We want to go protect. First, we want to go protect ourselves and make sure that we get home safe.
Yes.
Then we want to protect the people around us, and then we want to protect the people back home. So there's a zoomed in version of a viewpoint, rather, of what we're trying to do, and then there's the zoomed out version. We want to protect our families back home. In order to do that, we need to make sure that this war that we're fighting over here in Afghanistan, in my case, never makes it to our shores back home.
Okay.
So we stop the threat here before it can, reach us, our families back home. But mostly, man, you're fighting for the people to your left and your right. And that's cliche, but it's also so true. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are there. America, there's an article that I read, America's not at war, America's at the mall. And yeah, that's you kind of feel like you can be forgotten about, because we're there, and America doesn't always see what it is, the day-to-day inner things that we're going through.
So when you say America, you mean the actual citizens are at the mall.
Right.
Because we don't see you guys over there.
Right.
On the ground getting shot at and all that other stuff.
Yeah, you don't see quite the times where there's a sandstorm that comes in that just looks so, it looks like a brown curtain just rolling in, right? And you're sitting there looking at it coming towards you at a rapid pace, and everyone's trying to get inside somewhere, right?
Okay.
And one guy happened to be in a porta-john. We had just got porta-johns finally. And he got caught in a porta-john, and
wow.
it tipped out. Fortunately for him,
ooh,
it was freshly cleaned.
Yes.
A lot of blue water.
Yeah.
Not a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah, bluish brown.
Because the sandstorm tipped that porta-john over.
Okay.
So he comes out, and now he's trying to call on the radio for help to come, for somebody to come find him. A couple of us had to put on some goggles, put on our helmets, and go out there and go find him. We couldn't find him for a while. We finally did, got him out of there because it had tipped over
On the door.
onto the door.
Yes.
So he couldn't get the door open.
Man.
We had to flip it over so we can get him out. He's got all this. He was blue man the whole rest of the deployment because he had all the blue.
Yeah, dye and everything on him.
Yeah.
Oh,
So things like that, or the times where guys get hit. Guys get hit. We have casualties and we have CASEVACs where the helicopter's coming in. Those are the things that we're going through on a day to day that people don't realize, and it's hard to really relate to something that you're not going through yourself.
Yes.
So
I'm one of these people who believe that things do happen for a reason, right? And as I was a young man growing up, I seen a lot of military stuff, seen a lot of war stuff, and I did some Navy time myself.
Mm-hmm.
And as I started to get older and older, I started to kind of put things together, right? So you hear a lot of stuff that's talked about, especially when you talk about the conspiracy theories that goes on in the United States, and especially dealing with war. Now, at the height of 9/11, terrorist threats, the Taliban, and and whoever was running it at the time, right? And we have to go over here and fight now. And then later on, you start hearing different stories. You start hearing different stories about how the buildings came down. Was it them or was it an inside job? And you start hearing more of this. Then you start hearing stories about what is the real reason why we're over there fighting this war. Is it for pipelines? Is it for oil? Is it for poppy seeds? All this stuff is being talked about now.
Yeah.
Stuff that they normally didn't talk about on the media, because now this stuff is starting to come out in the internet now. Internet, it was just starting to, still at the foundation stage at that time, but more information was being given to us by different sources. So you now being in the military, do you still have this same perspective as, okay, I'm going to go defend our country because this is what they did to us? Are you guys now starting to hear those same stories that we're now hearing, and now it's like, okay, why are we over here fighting this war now? What is the main reason why we're over here? Do you guys have those did you have those conversations?
Actually, no, and I'll be honest. No, we didn't have those conversations at the time, right? Because right now we're in the mindset of we're here now.
Okay.
It's not until you get further removed away from, as the years pass and more information comes out, that you look back and you start to question a few things. My own mentality of it, just to make sure that I don't drive myself crazy about it, is just to choose to, you know what? You will go crazy trying to psychoanalyze all of it.
Yes.
Because I believe that it's such a complicated, and there's so many different factors that were at play that we'll never know. Some that we will know partially, and some that we know for sure. But trying to jumble all of that into something that makes sense, I think you'll drive yourself crazy trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
Right? So, but at the time, again, we're not even really defending America at the time and in theater. We are defending ourselves. And we're then zooming out just a bit, we're defending the people around us. That includes the Afghans. That includes the good Afghans, the ones that were helping us, the kids, the women, the just regular families.
Yes.
Because no matter the culture, no matter the part of the world, families are families.
True.
And they all want the same thing. They all want to just be able to live a productive and fulfilling life.
And peaceful life.
And peaceful life.
There's nothing more. It's nothing more better than having some actual peace of mind. That's why I always say peace of mind, right? So with you guys being over there now, in a third world country, right? War-torn country, war zone, all of this stuff going on. We're now starting to hear all this new stuff is going on about the Taliban. Well, it was the Taliban at the time, right? Because I know we went through different names.
Yeah,
ISIS,
they go through different
Taliban,
iterations, right? Like now, it's ISIS.
Yeah, ISIS. You know,
it was the Taliban.
Taliban at that time, right?
Those were the bad guys.
Osama bin Laden, Taliban,
yeah.
right? So dealing with those families out there, man, I can only imagine how it was for them to have a whole nother country come out here, and now they're having to deal with all of this military presence, the bombings that were continuous, and just the constant the psyche part that they've had to deal with.
Yeah.
What kind of compassion did you guys have for those families over there, having to see this, knowing, damn, we got our families at home, they're protected over here, but we're over here. I mean, and I'm pretty sure you saw kids dying, accidentally being killed, blown up and stuff like that, man. What did that play on not only their psyche, but you guys?
I didn't actually see any kids die.
Okay.
You would hear about these things happening. I didn't see any fathers of these families die.
Okay.
But you would hear later on, maybe a week later, maybe a few months later, that the Taliban rolled up a guy who they discovered had been helping us.
Okay.
Right? And that's when it really hurts and it really hits, because they were trying to help us. And because of that, now they're dead. You know? So those are the things that it kind of drives you to want to go after those guys even more. Because that same damn thing could happen to us.
Yes.
You know? I saw radicalized Muslims out there with that animalistic hate in their eyes. Like, I've seen what that looks like, you know? And for the ones that would help us out, and for those kids, you know, we had candy. You know, hearts and minds is what we were trying to go after. So we would have candy. Kids would come out wanting the candy. And one day you had a guy who showed up with one of his kids, and he was a Taliban guy. Taliban fighter, we'll say that.
Okay.
And he was wearing an IED vest, and he blew up the whole area, which killed 2 of my friends.
Wow.
So now what does that do? What does that do for us who are trying to be amongst the populace and amongst the people the next day? You know? Like, how are you now supposed to feel safe when that could happen? Because now the thought is, okay, one of these kids that are coming up to us trying to reach out for candy, what if they have something on, like a vest on? Or someone who looks poor walk up with his kid wanting food, and then he blows you up. So now we all get a little more tight.
Yes.
A little more tight about the situation and how to interact with people. So those things were those were some of the challenges that we were dealing with in the whole Hearts and Minds campaign.
Okay.
You try to be as compassionate as you can be, and then certain things happen which change the landscape and therefore change your perspective, and it changes how you have to move now.
Yeah, definitely when you have to be concerned with somebody walking up with an IED and it's just willing to die right there on the spot, and they have their kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, that sounds like some of the tactics that were used in the Vietnam War. You hear about that a lot.
Yeah, the kamikaze.
Yeah, well, the kids walking up to the soldiers, and then all of a sudden they have a grenade in their hand or something like that.
Huh.
And I've heard of those stories before. All right, I think that's just the music up there.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, so the situations in Vietnam. So it seems like this is just another one of those tactics that was probably used now in a whole different war.
Yeah.
So outside of that, man, what is some of the stuff that you witnessed in war? I mean, we hear stories all the time. People tell us they come back with a story about, you know, what happened over there in war. And yeah, the good stuff, we want to hear about the good stuff too. You know, about especially when you guys going out giving kids candies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them probably never even had candy,
Right.
or haven't had American candy. So I'm pretty sure this is coming from you guys, packs that was sent back from the States, from families and stuff like that, or
sure.
just whatever the military had to offer, man. But some of that stuff out there, man, that you guys were going through, what was some of the stuff that you remember, man, that it still rattles in your mind to this day?
Well, on the good side of things, my unit was tasked with taking volunteer Afghans, male fighting age Afghans, who wanted to make a difference and wanted to help.
Okay.
They wanted to help take back their country from the control of the Taliban and that fear that they have to live in. So our job was to take those Afghans and try to train them up into being Afghan Border Patrol and Afghan National Army.
Okay.
So we were, and that's what made the whole deployment a lot more meaningful for me.
All right.
Because all deployments are not equal. Some guys, they just stay inside the wire, or stay inside the gates the whole time. And, if we've set up some kind of a shopping center or like a McDonald's or a Starbucks, then that was their deployment. But I wanted this to mean something.
Okay.
Like if you're going to take me away from my family for this amount of time, I want it to mean something.
Yeah.
So doing that and being away from the main command, kind of off in the outskirts with our Afghans.
Okay.
And we built up our own little tent city and all that. Those were the times because they have a strong culture called the Pashto culture.
Okay.
Where if you break bread with them, they are honor bound to protect you and defend you with their lives.
Wow. Okay.
If you eat one meal with them, you break bread with them one time, they are honor bound to protect you with their lives.
Okay.
So they would teach us things too. There's a picture of me and a friend of mine where they caught the perfect moment where I'm watching one of the Afghans had grabbed a chicken and they swung him around to break its neck. And I was like, I had never seen nothing like that before.
Okay.
And they cooked it up for us, and they cooked up a bunch of rice and a bunch of flatbread, and they spread it all out on the floor on a carpet. That's how they eat.
Yes, I've seen that.
And you all sit there and you grab, and everyone's grabbing in the same, which sounds crazy now in these COVID times, but back then, we're all reaching into the same pot or the same area where the food was. We had those times where we're trying to teach them English and they're learning it.
Okay.
They would call it, commander. We had those times where things were fun.
Okay.
And which really made it easier to turn things on, to switch on when we had to. I think a lot of times when you talk about PTSD and those types of things, some people don't know when to turn it off and when to turn it back on.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to be with a group of guys that when it was time to be on, we were on. When it was time to be off, we turned it off and we relaxed and became just regular people.
Okay.
So that really helped when I came home. Another thing that I think helped staunch the whole PTSD thing was the unit that I was with, the commanders, they really prepared us beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They took us through a training evolution, which played out over the course of a few weeks, where they brought in actors. They brought in, they took us to a mock town.
Okay.
Where we're going to be doing patrolling, some of the ways that we're going to be patrolling when we're in theater. And they had Afghan actors. Some of them were paraplegic, quadriplegic. They were missing limbs.
Okay.
And they would put makeup on them to make it look like they recently just got their leg blown off.
Okay.
So they're crawling, and looks like there's a trail of blood.
Yeah.
There was pyrotechnics. There were one particular training evolution. The scenario was we had just recently killed one of their sons.
Okay.
And this was at night. So there was a protest, a mock protest. Mm-hmm. And we're having to stand there, and the moms were out there. These ladies were really getting it. They were going after it. They were screaming. They were yelling. They were crying. Like, I don't know where they took themselves to to be able to reach that level of the act.
Yes.
But they were going in, and they were throwing rocks at us, and you really felt like, wow, like this is.
Yeah, the tension is really there. Yeah, the anger, you can feel it.
You could really feel it.
Yeah.
You know, so that helped us because when we got in theater, some of the things we saw, it wasn't our first time seeing it.
Okay.
And which, you know, when it's your first time seeing something, the shock of it can make you freeze.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So fortunately, we were able to set up some of those things and prepare our minds for what we were going to see.
Okay. Because you went through that transition with the whole mock riot, or so to say. So in that transition right there, you go through that, and then once you actually get to war, you've seen it already played out, so it doesn't affect you as much while you're there. Now, there was a story you were telling me about an IED with some of your brothers. That was a situation. Can you tell me that story again?
Yeah. Well, you know, like you said, we believe that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm still alive because things happen the way that they happened.
Okay.
There was a meeting with some of the village elders that we were supposed to go to.
Yeah.
There was my team, and we were leaving from our location. There was another team of ours, Marines, that were leaving from a different location.
Okay.
And we were all supposed to link up at a specific spot, and then we were going to go travel in a convoy the rest of the way towards the meeting site. And we actually left before the other team left.
Okay.
So we probably would have beat them to the meeting point. What happened is our comms and our radios went down shortly after we left the wire.
All right.
And we were close enough to the wire to our gates that we just turned around and went back inside and had the radio guys fix our radios.
Okay.
That probably delayed us about nearly an hour. Right.
Okay.
So now we're back on the road. We've got our comms checks. We're good. We're driving to the meeting site with our other team of Marines. As we approach, that's when we see like a large thing of black smoke wafting into the air.
Okay.
And when you see that, you know, again, it's not your first time seeing it because you've seen IEDs go off and blow up, you know, even Afghans.
Okay. Now, for those out there who don't know what an IED is, can you explain what
IED stands for improvised explosive device.
Okay.
And what they'll do is they'll take different materials that they can find, and they will figure out a way to make that thing blow up.
Okay.
You know, because it's not like they can go to Best Buy or you know, Radio Shack or anything like that. They're a lot smarter than we Americans give them credit for.
Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm. And this is a side story to that, because what they do, it becomes a game of chess. These IEDs, because they'll create an IED that when you roll over it with your vehicle, it'll blow up. Now, what if it's one of their vehicles, right? Because they all have those trucks.
Yes.
They're driving through trucks. They have little motorcycles. If they run over it, they might blow up. So what they do is they created a pressure plate. That means that their vehicles are not heavy enough to trigger it to blow up.
Yeah.
Ours, those 5-ton, you know, mine rollers that we have, those things are. Those AMRAP vehicles, armored vehicles, they weigh tons, and those are heavy enough to trigger those. So then what we do to counter that is we put a little like kind of a mine roller in front of our vehicles that we attach to it.
Okay.
So that it'll blow that up right in front of our vehicle but not hit our vehicle itself directly.
Okay.
So then they counter that. So there's always like a counter to the counter, and it's like playing chess with people's lives.
Man.
But yeah, so we see the smoke. And as we get closer, we're not getting comms checks with our other team. They're not responding.
Okay.
So now you start to get that ominous feeling, and as we approached, we saw that it was in fact our team that got hit with an IED.
IED. Got it.
And really unfortunate situation is that a couple of our guys, they didn't have a chance to get out of the vehicle before the fire really consumed it.
Okay.
So, a couple of our guys were on top of the vehicle trying to get those guys out, and the flames just rose up too fast, and they had to jump off. So our guys, they were in there, just on fire for a while before our explosives guys team could come and put the fire out and get those guys out. So it was that was a tough day because you lose some of the best guys. One of them was our senior leader, our sergeant major, who was he's one of those guys, right? Like picture in your favorite coach, any leader that you've ever had, your most admired person in your life. That's who Sergeant Major Cottle was.
Yeah, he was the man amongst men, a man's man.
Yeah, he was the guy you would do anything for. Mm-hmm. Not because he told you, but he just inspired that in you. You would do anything for Sergeant Major Cottle. And when he got hit, that was probably the worst day I had in Afghanistan.
Wow.
But I also think, again, to our point, things happen for a reason. That simple delay of our radios going down may have saved my life.
Yes. I'm sure it probably did, man. Yeah, that could have been you and your.
Like I said, we left our location before they left theirs.
Yeah.
We were probably going to get there first, and so that could have been our vehicle.
Man. So now you guys have to live with that, and I'm sure that's something that plays out in your mind over and over again. Yeah. And you kind of just got to adjust and kind of get over it. So, and there are a lot of men returning back from war, probably dealing with that. So, as you're there, you're going through that. You're seeing certain things. You're seeing all this stuff going on. Now it's a situation where you've been in the military, and now you have to make, as you say, that transition back home now.
Right.
So they prepped you for it with everything, with the simulation and everything, for what you're going to encounter once you get out here. You get out here, you start to encounter this stuff. Now psychologically, you're seeing stuff that you've never seen before. You've witnessing things that probably no person should have to witness, but you are witnessing it. Now all of a sudden, okay, you're going back home. Not going home for good, but let's just say you're going back home, be with your family for a little while now, but you still got to go back out there. So how is that transition just going home now and dealing with your family now?
Go from dodging IEDs and shootouts on a Monday and going to parent-teacher conferences, on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
so that's too extreme a change. So something else, and I don't know if this is just a standard practice or if this is just something that our unit thought to do. It's probably a standard thing where they took us to a kind of a decompressed zone, like a more decompressed area, a base in Kyrgyzstan.
Okay.
Where we got to interact with a lot of Air Force guys.
Oh, the lazy guys?
Hey. It's funny interacting with the Air Force because their whole vibe is laid back.
Yeah.
Especially compared to us, and what they're doing compared to what we're doing is so laid back. Because when we first get there, we've got all our war, uniforms on. Yeah. We got our, they call it frog suits.
Frog suits.
We've got all our knee pads on. We've got our armor on. We've got our weapons with us at all times. And we're looking around, and all the Air Force guys are running around with just T-shirts and shorts.
Wow.
Going to the gym. Just looking like just every bit like it's a regular day. So we got to be in that atmosphere for a couple of weeks before they actually transitioned us home. And I'll tell you what, the Air Force guys, they hated us. Man, they hated us because the Air Force girls were there.
See where this was going.
and it's one of those things where we roll in.
Yeah.
And we had to, we got in to Kyrgyzstan at about, let's say 2 a.m., right? That's when we finally got there, and we're in this huge tent, nicer than anything we'd ever seen. and then we're getting a brief, and you go to the restroom. We call it the head. You go to the head.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I overheard, as I was walking to the head, I overheard two Air Force girls talking, and they said, "Hey, you see you see that new batch of Marines that just got in?
Yeah,
Girl, like, I already picked a couple out." You're like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And because again, we haven't really had much interaction with any ladies or anything like that. We had our mission, and that was that. Next morning, we're in the Air Force Chow Hall.
Yeah.
Getting omelets. Getting some real food. And what we saw as we sat down, again, we still got our weapons. We're still like in
military combat mode.
We're still in combat
like,
mode.
Hey, let's roll out right now.
So we carry our weapons everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we had them with us, and they're looking at us weird, like, damn, why are they dressed like that?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, they all had their PT gear on, their workout gear. And what we saw was the Air Force girls had their makeup was done, hair done. They looked like they was going out for a ladies' night out, right?
Uh-huh.
This is at 6 a.m, Wes.
6 a.m. The Marines out
That means that they got up at like 5 to get themselves together.
4 o'clock
together.
Yeah.
So and the Air Force guys, they hated us because they also had a bar and a club.
Yeah.
Again, this is our first time around any kind of liquor.
Uh-huh.
Right? And we got in there, man. We have a good time no matter what.
I'm sure, yeah.
So when that music, didn't matter what kind of music was playing.
Mm-hmm.
We was taking over their little bar and their club. We was dancing with their girls, and the Air Force guys are sitting there against the wall, just looking mean, just looking looking pissed off.
Yeah.
As we took over their little town.
Yeah.
For a couple of weeks. I know they love to see us leave. When we got on to the plane to leave, they were happy. I'm sure of it.
That sounds like a scene from one of them old school movies where the bad guys come from the other school, and then you got the preppy kids over here.
Right.
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Like when AC Slater showed up at Bayside High.
Yeah.
And Zach Morris was like, "This is my town."
Yeah, the roughnecks coming through.
Right.
Watch out. Okay.
Yeah, they responded to us, and the Air Force guys probably. There's a reason that there's a rivalry between the services.
Okay.
So yeah, but having a little bit of normalcy.
Yeah.
In that area, really made it help to where when we got back home, it started to feel a lot more. We were kind of more used to being more of who we really were.
Okay. So that transition now, you're back at home. Being that you're back at home now, you happen to come back into civilian life. Right, coming back into the civilian world and everything like that, and you're still carrying all these thoughts and everything with you.
Yeah.
Did it have any effect on your marriage, your first marriage, or anything?
Yeah.
With you being deployed?
Yeah, it definitely did.
Okay.
So now you're back home, and this is another unfortunate reality of military life. There's a lot of great honor that comes with it,
mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of things that you do that you can be proud of. But there's also a flip side, and the flip side is a lot of marriages don't survive deployments. You come back, and wives get lonely while you're gone,
mm-hmm.
and they cheat.
Yeah.
They start relationships. When you're gone, and yeah, then my marriage, my first marriage, unfortunately, fell victim to that.
Okay. Yeah, and I know that more than likely devastated you once you got back to find that out. So now you're dealing with military. Now you're dealing with child. Now you're dealing with possible divorce, which actually you said you actually got divorced.
Yeah.
Right. So once you got divorced, did you feel like you needed to pick up and get married again at this point while still being in the military? Or was it just like, okay, I'm just going to focus on the military, and do whatever I need to do here, and then focus on, finding somebody else later? How did that all work out? What
you want to do is focus on your career, but at the same time, now you're realizing that if we're going to get divorced, and we get divorced, so now if I get orders someplace else, she's not obligated to come with me, right? And at the time we had a child together, and we had and shortly after we got back, she was pregnant again.
Okay.
She got pregnant after I came home. So now we have like 2 kids together.
Okay.
And now if I get orders to Japan or to Germany or wherever, she doesn't have to come with me. So I had to make the decision to leave the Marine Corps after putting 12 years in, because I wanted to be present, for my kids.
Okay.
So that having to suddenly, when I say suddenly, I mean like about a year out, you realize that you're not going to be able to really re-enlist. But having to suddenly try to create or find another lane or find another career that was challenging. That's what you learn is companies around here, they're not always just chomping at the bit to hire veterans like we're always told.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what
Of course, you're going to job right away. It's not that easy. It took me about 3 years after I left active duty to really find my footing into a career that, where I'm making some pretty decent money now and can provide for my family. But that in-between time?
Yes. Difficult.
And had trouble paying bills, just not knowing how you're going to get through this next month. Yes, I definitely had those times.
Wow. And I'm pretty sure that while trying to make that transition, but you're back into civilian life. So at this point, when you come back home, at what point did you end your military career where you were like, okay, that's enough, I'm going to go ahead and not re-enlist anymore?
Well, I would have re-enlisted. I'll say it like this. Even if I had wanted to re-enlist, I would not have been able to for a couple of other reasons.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I found myself in a situation where my wife at the time, again, had become pregnant with my second son.
Okay.
And I had just gotten orders to Germany. So we were, as a family, going to go to Germany.
Okay.
Marriage still was kind of rocky, coming back from Afghanistan and the separation and some of the cheating and having to try to reconcile that at the time. So we were already kind of not in a great place.
Yeah.
But we decided for the kids we were going to try to stick it out, especially because she had gotten pregnant with the second boy.
Okay.
But then she had said that her pregnancy became a high-risk pregnancy, which meant she couldn't fly on an airplane. So I would have had to go to Germany before she would have been able to go.
All right.
So the military said, the Marines said, hey, give us a doctor's note, provide us some medical documentation so that we can adjust your orders and she can fly out later. Get on the phone with her, hey, I need the medical information. She sends it to me, I send it up. No big deal. Okay, we're good. And then I leave my command. You take a vacation, a couple weeks, and then you're off to Germany.
Okay.
Well, during that vacation, I got a call back that said, hey, you need to return back to base. You're going to get court-martialed. I said, wait, what?
Yeah.
So I discovered that she had forged the medical documentation that said her pregnancy was high risk.
Okay.
So I actually went myself to the doctor's office and said, hey, this is the letter that she provided me with that she says came from you guys. I'm getting in trouble with my unit. I need help.
Okay.
And they looked at the letter and they said, no, this is not something that we did.
Yeah.
We would have provided you with a letter that looks like this.
Okay.
Look, 2 totally different pieces of paper.
Exactly.
So when I returned to my unit, I didn't return empty-handed. I say, hey, look, I've done my own investigation. Here's what I discovered. I didn't know. Sir, I did not know. And I actually had the doctor's office, they were gracious enough to call and get on the phone with my command, and they said Mr. Thompson came and he didn't realize, and this is all, a forgery situation that did not originate from Mr. Thompson.
Man.
Now here's the thing, though.
Okay.
I still had to answer for it, though. I didn't I didn't lose my rank. I didn't lose pay. But now the war is drawing down now at that time.
Yeah.
What that means is we don't, the military and the Marines and each service, we don't need all these people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That means any infraction, no matter how slight,
trying to get rid of you,
would mean like, hey, you can't re-enlist.
Yeah.
I knew guys who didn't have anything on their records. No, spotless.
Yes.
Still were being denied re-enlistment. So, of course, this incident made it to where I was not going to be able to re-enlist. So you could say 12 years of service and career and giving your life to this. Now you can't even continue because of the actions of my now ex-wife. If I'm gonna be fair, I can also say, hey, I probably wasn't gonna re-enlist anyway.
Yes.
Because I wanted to be around for my family, but to be removed of the opportunity.
Yes.
And not even have the option because of those actions, that stings a lot. And that's what finally crystallized it to me. Like, all right, I tried to get past the cheating. I tried to get past all the actions and everything that happened while I was deployed overseas, trying not to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
But this, all right, we've done all we can here, and this has to be over. So, I filed for divorce shortly after that.
Okay. And this was all due to her doing some forgery, which was about to jeopardize your military career.
Yeah.
And that's filed. It seemed like the military would have done a little bit more investigating before they decided they were going to court-martial you. But like you were saying, this was at a time when the war was dying down, and they wanted to figure out how to get rid of personnel out of the military. So this was just one of the ways to get you out of there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unfortunate event, but you got past that, right? I'm pretty sure you're doing better off now.
Oh,
From what I understand, you're remarried now, or not understand what I've seen and what I know. You're remarried now, so I'm pretty sure you're in a better place, more peaceful place. I don't want to keep using the word happy, but at least peaceful, man. I think with men, it's about being at peace. Man. Hey, give me a little peace, and I'm good.
Yeah, happy is a feeling.
Yeah,
that comes and goes no matter depending on where you're at or what's going on around you at the time, and you're not going to be in the same place.
Yes,
physically or mentally, right? So happy is a feeling that's cool to have, but it's really hard to be in a permanent state of happiness. So it's not realistic.
Okay.
So what we're looking for, like you said, is just a place of peace and fulfillment.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I ended up landing on my feet. There were some hard times, though.
I'm sure it was.
There were some hard times, and I actually, I think what a lot of people miss when it comes to getting divorced and trying to pick up the pieces and heal from it is they try to stay quiet. Especially men. We stay quiet about this stuff. We don't talk about it. We bottle it up, which is why I'm really glad to see that there's starting to become this renewed focus. Well, not even renewed. It's like kind of a new focus, especially in the black community, of therapy and going to talk to people. And I think that's why you see a lot of podcasts coming out too, because people at their core really do want to talk about the things that they're going through.
I'm sure.
Just to unburden themselves, or to in my case, it's twofold. I want to unburden myself, and hopefully my story, things I've gone through, can help someone else who's going through the same thing.
Yes.
Right? So that was always my goal, but I think definitely what happens is we stay quiet. And when you do that, you kind of rob the people around you of the ability to be there for you, right?
Okay.
To listen to you and to want to help you out, or to just be there. You know, like just be there. Just be an ear. Hey, what can I do for you? Is there anything I can do? When you don't talk about it, you're on an island, and eventually it's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
So it's what I ended up doing is just work on myself. You know, that's really where I think I turned what was a negative into a positive.
Okay.
Because when you do that work on yourself, when you start reading books, you know, read the books, go to therapy, listen to podcasts, get in the gym. You know, like I think both of us have the same thing. Like whenever life's kind of got us down, we find our rebound points at the gym.
Yeah, you got to have that solitude place. That,
right.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so when you improve yourself, what ends up happening is you improve the quality of the people that come into your life. You attract quality because you are quality.
Yes, definitely.
And that's where I'm at now.
That's good, man. Well, definitely a good place to be in. And I'm glad you are there, you know, because you see far too many men not only returning back from the military, but just in life general, because life has beaten them up so bad that you see them out on the streets. You see them out here begging. You see them strung out on drugs. I've had several family members strung out on drugs, and it was sad to see somebody that you admired and looked up to from a child and grow into an adult, and you know, they're the neighborhood crackhead or something like that, or you know, opioids or fentanyl or whatever the latest new drug is, and to actually stand strong and be resilient against any of that stuff. You know, when I say stuff, any and everything that can actually
any of
bring
those
you
vices.
down. Yeah, any of those vices that can bring you down, man. To actually still go about your daily life, take care of your responsibilities, protect, provide, and do all those things that a man is supposed to do. You know, you have to admire that when you see somebody actually doing that. And I see that in you. We've known each other for the last few years, and you've never left me with any other impression other than, hey, this man is about his business and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. You know.
Yeah, so, I appreciate that, and I try to use every hardship as something that I can learn from, and then something that I can teach my kids.
Yes.
And you hate to go through a divorce, and I've actually had 2 divorces. I'm on my 3rd marriage right now. But what I'm glad about is that I'm glad that my sons have seen me go through these struggles. I think a lot of times, I know especially with my own parents, I was so unaware and ignorant to the struggles that they would go through. You know, like, and I'll bet you were too. Like, do you remember? Well, you know, I'll just speak for myself. I was unaware of the times where my family or my dad and my mom were in a financial hardship.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember a couple times where some of those Christmases didn't look the same as others.
Yeah.
Right? But whatever struggles they were going through, I didn't know about them.
Yes.
And there is a place where you don't want to let your kids know everything you're going through, of course, right? Because those burdens, some of the adult burdens should not become kid burdens.
True.
At the same time, trying to hide everything from them as though you've got it all figured out and you're perfect and you don't make mistakes, that's not good either. Because then they have something where if they start to get into trouble, they start making mistakes, they might think less of themselves, as if I didn't go through the same thing.
Yes.
Right? So I'm glad that they got to see me go through failed relationships even.
Yes.
I'm glad they got to see it. It's unfortunate, but they get to see, hey, when someone's not treating you right, repeatedly, and they refuse to try,
yes,
you are not supposed to just stay in a relationship to suffer. You know?
I would agree.
You're not supposed to just suffer through just for the sake of being able to say, well, I stuck with it. No, man.
Yeah.
You know, you try to work through. We understand you got to work through problems. But when you're the only one working through the problem,
it's not good.
That's not good. You're going to suffer. And I don't want my kids to have this idea of what marriage is as it's unfulfilling. It's a lot of arguing. It's a lot of dad doing just looking down, you know, in the dumps. I don't want. So that's when I made the decision to get divorced. It was because of that. I didn't want my kids to see marriage as this, and they not know what right looks like. Which is why, you know, with my wife now, I'm so glad that I finally get to correct what I feel is my greatest failing as a father.
Okay.
Which is I haven't been able to show them what a healthy, functional relationship looks like. And now I get to do that.
Now you get to do that, and that's good, man. I'm glad you had that opportunity to be able to do that. So one of the things I want to ask you, man, that I ask everybody that comes onto the show is, whether big or small, whether it be big or small, and I think we all have these playing off in our subconscious, what is the one thing that you regret, something you probably should have done or something you didn't do that, you know, you can't go back and do it now, you can't change it now, it's done.
Yeah.
But it messes with you.
It's a good question. I think that one thing that I regret for sure is not trusting myself, not trusting my own instincts and my own opinion of the type of individual I am.
Yes.
You know, I instead trusted or just got into a pattern of thinking, getting my own opinion of myself from what other people tried to portray me as.
Okay.
Right? Like my ex-wives have tried to portray me in a certain way. And if you're not careful and you're not true to yourself, you'll start, it's easy to start believing like, dang, you know, maybe that is what it actually is for me.
Yeah, that's who I am.
Right? Maybe that's who I am. One of my ex-wives really tries to put this thing off like people don't like you, they just tolerate you because of who your son is. You know, my son's a kind of a big-time high school football player.
Yes.
That's not true, though. You know, people dig me because they just dig me because I'm a genuine person, you know, or at least I try to be, you know.
Yeah.
I don't hide from the fact that I make mistakes. And sometimes I make bad decisions, you know, or not bad decisions, just decisions that weren't as strategic as I would have liked.
Yeah, all your decisions are not going to fall into place the way that you think or you thought they should have.
Right. All your plans are not going to pop off the way you think they are. And for me, what I've always tried to do, again, is just turn that into a lesson and just to retool my approach to attack a problem set the next time.
Okay.
So, no, I am not what they've tried to say I am. I'm who I am.
Yes.
And I'm comfortable with who I am, and I'm proud of who I am.
Yeah.
And I can see it in my kids' faces every time they see me. And my wife's face every time she sees me. That, and you know, I have a lot going for me.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're a good guy.
Yeah, you know, or we all try to be.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, in terms of regret, just don't allow other people to try to tell you who you are. That's kind of like, in one sentence, that's what it is.
Okay.
Don't let someone tell you who you are.
Definitely.
Right?
And one more for you. To any man out there, you know, I know we're always focusing on the youth, You know, and a lot of times people might say, hey, as you become an adult, look, you've had your time to do what you've needed to do. And in most cases, that is true. A lot of people, as we become adults, we squander things off. But a lot of people, I think, don't give any real realization to that. A lot of grown men, and I'm speaking on men, a lot of men went through a lot of trauma when they were young and didn't know how to cope with anything. Therapy wasn't something that we can go to,
Right.
you know, if you believe in therapy. Or like you said, a lot of the times we bottle so much in
Yeah.
and we don't release anything like a lot of women might do when they get together. A lot of the times we might jokingly talk about something to our
Right.
boys or something like that, but we really don't show that real true emotional side. And a lot of the times, depending on how you grew up, will determine on how much you put out. I keep a lot of stuff in that I don't put out, and I've only revealed to one person, which was my ex-wife, certain things that I had been through growing up that my parents don't even know about, which could have altered my adulthood. What would you say to that man out there who's down on his luck, who might feel like, okay, you know, nobody cares, who might feel like, okay, you know what, I'm going to go bite the bullet. You know, I'm just tired of living. What would you say to that person in order to get him to understand that you do have some self-worth out here, and it is a matter of you just focusing and getting yourself back together again?
You know, we all get to a low point, and situation you're describing, I think I probably have come close to having those thoughts myself. I've had some low moments that I really try to, you know, again, try to learn from, but still, when you're going through it, man, you're going through it. I would say what stopped me and what saved me from that abyss is knowing that I have people depending on me.
Yes.
I have kids that look up to me. You know, I just have people that are depending on me, people that love me. Everybody out there has somebody who loves them too. I've seen what suicide does to the remaining members of a family. You know, unfortunately, I've had brothers who have come back from that were out there with me in Afghanistan. We survived all of that, only to come back to California and take your life there. Been to those funerals, and I see what it does to those families. And when you've seen that, you understand that the people left behind, they will never get over that. There's no way to ever get over it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It doesn't fade with time. So what you're doing to your family, what you're doing to those loved ones, is not something you want to do to them. Even if you want to do something to yourself, do you want to hurt your family too? And no, you don't. So I would say find the purpose. Do whatever you can, man. Try to find the purpose, something, a spark, something to keep yourself away from it, and go get help.
Yeah.
Go get help. Go talk to somebody. It's something so refreshing about going to therapy and talking to someone who won't look at you with judgment. You know, and unburdening and just lighten the load. You know, you have things going on in your head. They can help you sort it out.
Yes.
And they can do it from a place where they're not judging you. They're not gonna. You don't have to worry about impressing them, or how they're gonna feel about you. You know. I think everybody should be in therapy, for one thing or another.
Okay.
You know, it's not too different, Wes, from you know, we work out a lot.
Yes.
Right? I try to, but we know our way around the gym.
Yes.
And we could probably get to those results that we're trying to get to on our own, right? But that's why they have personal trainers.
True.
A personal trainer can give you the tools, and they can show you the workouts and give you a meal plan that can get you there even faster.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way, a therapist, you could probably sort your stuff out on your own. But a therapist can give you the tools, give you the roadmap to get you there where you're trying to get to a lot faster. And I feel like that's the best way to look at therapy. I mean, even Michael Jordan needed a coach.
True.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we look at mental fitness the same way we look at physical fitness?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Definitely something to think about, you know. And hopefully somebody could be inspired by what you said. And whoever might be in a situation where they might feel like, you know, time is running out for them. Maybe they have a difference of opinion now, you know, and that's pretty much what we're here to do, man. You know, it's Stoic Talk, Stoic Lounge, here, talk it up, top it up, however we say it.
Yeah.
And just get some things off of our chest.
You know, I want to get one last thing off my chest here.
Okay.
I like the platform and the way that you're going about this, the Stoic Lounge, and it's grown men talk.
Yes.
Grown men topics, things that grown men are going through in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many podcasts and shorts and video clips that we see, you see a lot of people with a mic in front of their face and headphones on their ears, just talking nonsense.
Yes.
Just
I
talking.
see a lot of it.
Like, the more toxic the topic, the better.
Mm-hmm.
All we talk about now is cheating in relationships, or going 50-50, or submission, and all of this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's more stuff to talk about.
It is.
You know, there's
Mm-hmm.
there's real issues that people are going through.
Yes.
To talk about, and that people can gain knowledge from, or gain a different perspective from. So I'm glad that we're doing this. I'm glad you're doing this. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it, and I'm glad I got men like you to come out and make this possible. You know, so hey, about to get ready to get up out of here.
Yeah.
I know you hungry. I'm hungry too.
Yep.
I need to go get something to eat. Hey, so to all my listeners out there, hey, thanks for tuning in again today. And remember, like I always say, hey, keep your head on a swivel. Don't panic under pressure. Respect all, and most definitely remember this: everybody has a story to tell. What's yours? Wes Neely, out of here. Oh, man.